There are around 5.2 million dog owners in the UK, so clearly people care about dogs. However, thousands of people per week attend the dog track, unaware of the cruelty that goes on. Later on I will be interviewing with someone who has first-hand experience with working with the mistreated dogs and expose the shocking truth about the greyhound racing industry. I'm here outside the dog track in Hall Green. Around 400 dogs die here a year for our entertainment. People attend the dogs in hope of a good night out, but do they ever think of the cruelty that goes on to the dogs? Why are you against greyhound racing?
Because 10,000 dogs a year die just because they're not fast enough or they've got an injury. I don't agree with that, because what's the need to kill them? They can just go into a nice home, they can go into a loving family, and there's no need for them just to die, because the trainers don't want to pay hundreds of thousands of pounds just to get their weight up or anything like that. There's no need for it.
What does your organisation do to help protect them?
Birmingham Ground Protection is a fundraiser and a campaigner. We campaign against the racing, so this means we'll go outside tracks such as Hall Green and we'll do something called demos, which is we'll stand outside for about an hour, usually about 6:30 till 7:30. We'll talk to the public as they're going in. It's not an illegal thing to do, we are allowed to do it, but we can sometimes cause a bit of hassle because obviously now it's winter and it's dark, people do tend to get a bit intimidated. Also, we also look at sites like Gumtree and Preloved, because trainers tend to put the dogs on sites like that just to get rid of them because they don't want to spend the money to fix the dogs up and put them in a home. So we sit there and we look at the sites, and wherever the dogs are, wherever over the UK, we go and get the dogs and get them in good homes. Most of the dogs go in foster homes before going to a permanent home to get them used to a home routine. We do things like awareness days as well, which we normally do outside Birmingham City Centre on a Saturday, and this is where we get most of our donations to help the dogs, to get the dogs better for when they go into another home, because a lot of dogs have multiple injuries because of the tracks and because of the lives they've lived.
What cruelty have you come across when working with the greyhounds?
There's so much cruelty we come across. We come across things like the dogs have been worked so hard on the tracks. Most greyhounds, they race till they're about 3, but we've come across dogs which have been racing since about 7, 8, and they're that overworked and they're that exhausted they can't even stand up. These dogs don't know how to play, they've never been taught how to play. It's such a shame, and we get some dogs who've got tumours in their legs, got cancer, and because the trainers don't want to pay the money for the dogs to get fixed, the dogs are just dumped. We found dogs in skips, we found dogs outside places like McDonald's just tied up to bollards, we found everything like that. We found greyhounds have also got tattoos in their ears. 2 tattoos means the dog's from Ireland and 1 tattoo means the dog's from England. And what the trainers tend to do is they chop the dog's ears off, especially if the dog is really badly injured and in a bad way, because if you type in that tattoo, the barcode on the dog's ears, if you type that into a search engine, the trainer will come up, and obviously the trainer doesn't want. I think people go to the races because it's a good night out, cheap drinks, cheap food, and you know, it's a bit of a way to make money as well. Put £1 on a dog and you might get £100 back. That's the way people think of it really. You get a lot of people going for stag and hen parties, birthdays, Christmas nights out, work nights out, anything like that people go to. It's a cheap night out really. Any bad press to come back to them. So half the dogs we find have got no tails, they've been chopped off to make them run quicker, they've got no ears, they don't know how to play, they've been fed on a rubbish diet. It's just a shame because the dogs just like our household dogs, but they're not treated like dogs, they're treated like working machines.
Why do you think people still go to the dog racing?
And people don't realise that, you know, like 10,000 dogs a year die for your entertainment. At the end of the day, you bet on them, they're dying for your entertainment, they're dying because you're going to have a good night out and get drunk. No need for it.
Why do you think the media don't back your campaign more?
I don't think the media are that bothered about ground racing industry because they've got so many more causes. They've got like children charities, abuse charities, a lot of other animal charities, and a lot of people don't really realise what does happen to grounds behind closed doors. Like Hall Green Track, they're responsible for annually. They're responsible for 400 deaths just on that track alone. One night on Hall Green Track, about 10 dogs are going to die just on one night. One Saturday night, you're going out with your mates, 10 dogs are going to die on that track. I have contacted God knows how many members of Parliament about this issue, but no one's got back to me, no one has emailed me back, no one has contacted me back, because there's so many more issues in the world, and people are thinking, well, they're just dogs. They might be just dogs, but you know, that's why you've got people like me, that's why you've got organisations like Birmingham Ground Protection who do think it's more than just a silly little cause.
Having spoken to someone who works with the Greyhound Protection Programme, I hope I have informed people about the cruelty that goes on at the Greyhound track, and in turn encourage people to look into it further.